Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of MyFM in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm at home now. I don't do a lot of these, but I'm talking to somebody who's on the West Coast, and apparently 10 a.m. is early for this guy. Well, you know those rock stars out in LA. I admire this guy so much. My guest for this afternoon, for so many reasons, and you've seen his face in film and TV and commercials. He has a new show out called The Pursuit of Happiness. And I think I was first turned on to Ravi when he let his sister film his pursuit in finding a wife with the help of his mom and dad on a movie called Meet the Patels. And I was hooked after that, and then he would pop up in shows like Grandfathered with John Stamos and American Housewife, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's Ravi. I love this guy." And I see more and more of Ravi as time goes on, his career progresses, and I'm so happy to be talking to him right now. Let's bring him in, Ravi Patel.
Hey man, that was so sweet. Oh God, what bad brain here. Okay.
There was a moment I was watching American Housewife, and you came on as Grant, who was Greg's assistant,
Mhm.
and I immediately had to text you. And you're so sweet. You're always commenting on your tweets and getting back to people. And I just had to say, Ravi, you make me smile when I see you come on screen. And that's what happened with Grant for some reason. I'm like, oh, and the show's funny anyway, and I enjoy that show. But you like light up a room when you come on.
Oh man, marry me. That's very sweet. Uh, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, man. I've actually only recently gotten active on Twitter, like in the last, basically once my show came out. They were like, you got to get on social media and do stuff because I've never really done stuff on there before. My Instagram was private actually before
Was
this.
it? So
Yeah.
you're at a point where you're not sick of it yet. That's why you're so active with it.
No, in fact, I mean, I got, I actually really like Twitter in terms of like, I love reading it for news. I'm a huge Bears fan, and
Mm,
it's a great place to distract yourself and listen and read about Bears news. You can pretty much read unlimited amounts of news about sports on there.
right.
So it's great to that extent, but it's also insanely toxic. And I'd be fine
Absolutely.
quitting all social media if my representatives allowed.
But you must attribute some of your success to social media
I don't think
because you're
so.
so active. Because you're so active with it, you're
Oh
able to
no,
really
I don't think
promote.
so. I think
No,
it's gone backward. No, I think it's hurt me actually. I know it because my team has told me as much because I haven't been on it. It's actually helped me back. Like it looks. How do I say this in a way that doesn't sound weird? Like they've basically communicated to me that my social media makes me look less successful than I
okay. So
am.
they're shooting for Brad Pitt, who you can't see on Twitter often, but you're more like a Topher
Yeah,
Grace. Yeah.
yeah, they just feel like I should have way more followers for where I'm at in my career, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, but I'm also just not interested. Like, I don't like posting. I the only time I really tweet anything at all is when there's a Bears game on. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. How's that going for you, by the way?
Oh, did you want? Are you a football fan?
Well, I'm a Patriots fan. I am a football fan, but
Oh,
I'm
how's
watching
that
my
going for you, by
Patriots
the way?
slowly die. They
Yeah,
teased us. First two games were fantastic. Like, here we go. We don't need Tom. And then all of a sudden, what happened?
yeah, you guys deserve it. You've had a good run. You've had a
Well,
good
that's the
run.
thing. I mean, I'm 48 years old, so I remember the bad days. But there are children and teenagers and young adults that don't remember a bad Patriots team. And now we're paying for it, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, the only Patriots that I even remember is from the Big Bears Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bury the Bears.
Super Bowl 20.
We had Squish the Fish. We had Bury the Bears. That was quite the year.
Yeah.
So that's how I discovered you, really, and got to know you a little bit more was through Twitter, and I find it to be a little bit more personal. But you're a little different. You got to be one of the hardest working guys in entertainment now. So tell your team that. I really think you are. Not only do
Thanks,
you
man.
pop up in a little bit of everything, but you had Meet the Patels, which
Mhm.
was your sister's creation, right?
No, we directed it together, but she was the
Okay.
one who was behind the camera. Yeah.
And she didn't want to be in front of the camera.
No, I mean, we had, we did. So we made that documentary it came out in like 2014 or 15, but we
Mm,
actually started it in I want to say 2008. So we
okay.
spent a long time making it, and we did probably 30, 34 cuts of that movie. And there were definitely versions of it where we played with putting her on camera more. But the way that we finally landed on, we actually thought was the strongest version. Like, I actually think her story in it is really strong, even
Yeah.
though you don't see her that much in it. And so it's very intentional in terms of like how much you see her. The timing of when you see her is obviously really significant. And then
Well, and
that was
let's face it.
Magdalene.
I mean, let's face it. Who's the real star or stars of that movie? It's
My
mom and
parents.
dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How
They
did
are
you find
such a
it?
treat. What's that?
Thanks, man. How did you find it?
Um, I like watching documentaries, so I search around a lot on Hulu and
Mhm.
Netflix and wherever I have every streaming service. So I
Yeah,
just fall upon these movies, and I think I
yeah.
found yours maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I
Oh, wow.
obviously had recognized your face from movies and TV,
Yeah.
and it looked interesting, and it was fantastic. Your family's great, they're sweet, and I'm sure it's not all
Mhm,
roses and because that's why you made The Pursuit of Happiness. And
mhm,
here I am thinking, and that's the new show on HBO Max.
mhm.
It's a quick watch, which was a little unfortunate. I'm like, I want more of this, and hopefully we will have more, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
but you did start the show talking about the downside of your life, the issues that you've had, and
Mhm.
it's not just about Robbie going out and finding more happiness. I mean, you were really searching your soul for something that's going to not only make you feel better as a person
Mhm.
and fulfill your soul, but also connect you with your family and friends.
Yeah, I mean, the premise of the show actually came out of, like, my therapy sessions. Like, I literally was like, so I'll tell you the whole story of how it happened. It came about from when Bourdain. I only knew this in retrospect,
Mm,
but, a few weeks after Bourdain passed away, I went into CNN and met with him, and, uh I only found out way later that they were looking, for new talent to replace his time slot.
okay.
And uh, I met with them, a couple times. I kind of told them about all the different things that I'm obsessed with, and whatever, just my life. We were just talking, and after the second one, the president of the network was like, "Hey, we want you to make a pilot presentation for us." And it was like a really like they gave me something like 5 or 6. I want to say it was like 6 weeks maybe, and like $50,000 as a budget, which is nothing
Yeah.
to go out and come up with my idea, and shoot this thing and then turn it in. And I also found out in retrospect I was competing against like all of Hollywood for and like and uh the way I came up with the premise of the show, they said all the only thing it needs to include is travel. But,
Okay.
other than that, whatever is authentic to you. And for me, it's like, I'm not good, like I'm not an expert in anything. So I wouldn't know. I was like, I can't do food, I can't do anything academic. But with Meet the Patels, what I had done was an inner journey that was, with other people, and about a relationship in my life, and it was entertaining and comedic and all that stuff. So I thought to myself, on a practical level, if I like one thing that I'm always dealing with, like I'm just obsessed with trying to, like I love trying to figure out all the basic blocking and tackling of happiness. I mean,
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
always read all the books. I listen to the pod. I'm just into that stuff. And any of my guy friends will tell you, like I love going deep when we talk. Uh,
Yeah, I'm a little sensitive myself. My friends tend
yeah.
to avoid me at times. Like Ray's gonna cry tonight. If we have too much beer, Ray's gonna cry tonight.
Like you do like happy cries?
It's always happy cries. Yeah.
Oh, what a guy. I would love to have you around.
I'm an I love you, bud kind of guy. You know.
Oh, I am too, bro. And I'm also the guy who sent all my dude friends. And all my dude friends are very dude. Like
Yeah.
wild, love to party, like very, I would say, I will probably, we're masculine in like the most traditional sense. And
Yeah.
I've sent every single one of them to therapy. Like I am the reason. I'm their guy. Uh,
Yeah.
which I'm proud of, you know.
Sure.
So when I had this chance, I was like, you know, if the show's successful, like what I love doing is live questions, and also if the show is successful, I'd rather not have to travel the world every year by myself, and if it's unsuccessful, I'd rather not have traveled just to make a show, but rather I would love it if each trip was amazing, regardless of whether or not the show is successful.
Sure.
And I've
You
been a
get
part of,
something, you gain something out of this.
yeah, because I've been a part of so many canceled shows. And like I was like, this thing may not last. So I know that. So I wanted to make sure it was awesome, regardless of how it did. And that
I
ended
think
up
that's
being a
why
great show.
I think you're one of the hardest working guys in Hollywood right now is because you're making your own success. I mean, a lot of people are waiting for the next pilot and they're waiting for the
Yeah.
show to succeed. Whereas you're like, oh, let's just make a TV show ourselves.
You
Let's,
have to, man. I mean, I don't think I'd be here. If I were, okay, I'll tell you what, I probably would be here, but I don't know where I'd be. Like, first of all, I'd just be an actor, and I don't know that I'd be happy because
mm,
the career of acting is so up and down. It's so disrespectful. It's the politics of it are ugly. The honestly, half the people suck. Like it's just
well, I mean, it's got to be tough to run into somebody that you look up to because you've been watching them for so long, and obviously you don't have to name names if you don't want to.
sure, sure.
But it's got to be tough to be tough to be standing next to somebody and they're a complete ass, and you're
Oh yeah,
just thinking, "What did I
that
get
happens all the
myself
time.
into?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, what you realize, I mean, but I will say you learn a lot about what matters in life. Like I'm kind of grateful for it because had I not been exposed to all these people, look, I was never comfortable with acting as a career. I started it without wanting it. Like I kind of fell into acting. And I was
Mm,
very fortunate. Everyone around me was like so envious. And I knew it was cool because everyone else wanted to do it. And also it's like, it's better than accounting. I'm like, this is a cool gig,
yeah.
but I never respected it. I didn't know my relationship with it. And I didn't know what I wanted out of it. And I will say, like, being around some kind of like seeing what success looks like and seeing that most successful people aren't actually that happy.
Yeah.
Um, and then, learning what they even talk about in the books, which is like, you know, that's actually not where happiness comes from. Happiness comes out of your relationships,
Yeah.
out of, inner growth and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really grateful for that because I think it pushed me to seek, some real fulfillment. And also, I also just got lucky. Like, the Meet the Patels thing, which I made with my sister, taught me everything I think I needed to know about life, but also about art. To be cheesy, like to do something that is not only about my life and introspective, but brought me, made me legitimately best friends with my sister because we had to find a way to get through it and
Mm.
not fire each. We couldn't fire each other. We did make each other cry. We sent each other to therapy for the first time, you know. And as a result, I didn't really like her before the movie. I loved her, but I didn't like her.
Sure. Been
And
there.
and now I think she is legitimately one of my best friends. Like
Oh, that's
I think
awesome.
she's amazing. And we both obviously grew through that experience, but we grew together. And I could say the same for my family. I mean, I only wish upon every single person that they get to make a film about the people they love, because when you get to see the people in your life as characters in a story, you get this unique third party detachment from them that
Yep.
lets you appreciate their flaws and their strengths, which really is the alchemy of a true like human's beauty.
Sure.
It's all of that together. Um, and I just and once you get that juice that I got from Meet the Patels, where you're like, oh my god, like look what this did for my inner journey and my outer journey with my loved ones. Like now I'm just chasing that all the time, and that's kind of very much what Pursuit of Happiness is.
Which is just a fantastic show. And again, it was a little too short. So when will we see a season two?
Bro, your guess is as good as mine. I have no
Oh,
idea. I'm so hopeful, but I'm also not at all.
but, but I'm sure there's going to be something else after that, right? I mean, you're going to find a way.
Well, there'll be something else because I got to make a goddamn living, and I'm thirsty over here. But I don't know. Can I swear? Was that a mistake? I'll
No,
stop
that's all right. You can swear.
there. Okay.
We're on Facebook, so you can swear, I guess.
Okay, great.
Are you drinking? Drinking?
Yeah, you know me. Just a little. No, it's just coffee.
Rockstar, LA rockstar.
Oh, by the way, early pandemic days, beer at breakfast was fine.
Right?
Oh,
Sweatpants, sweatshirt, beer, breakfast.
favorite thing. Where are you, by the way? You're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, we're Central Mass, Milford, Mass.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Been out this way at all?
Yeah, I've been to Massachusetts a bunch. I mean, at this point, I think I've been everywhere. I have
Yeah.
a bunch of friends from Massachusetts. I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in North Carolina,
Yep.
and we're thinking about. Well, not thinking. I think it's probably going to happen. We're going to move to the East Coast.
Oh, nice.
Or East-ish. We're getting in the car in about four weeks here, and we're going to drive east and check out Nashville, Chapel Hill, and Charleston. And then I think we're going to pick one to move to next year.
That's a docuseries right there. On the Road with the Patels.
It honestly could be a show, and I thought about doing it as a show.
Or at least a web series.
Yeah, it could be something. And then I was like, you know what?
I just want to relax.
What if we just like do this?
Do you ever sit back and think, why don't we just do this? I love that, because you're probably always thinking. And I did the same thing. I drove my son to LA about a month ago. He's out in LA right now trying to get in the business. So I drove him. Huh?
Great.
Yeah, he's out there now.
Okay.
So I drove him, and we went down through Nashville and Memphis, and then straight through Texas and all that. And my first thought, because I'm somewhat in the entertainment industry, very local, I'm thinking I'm going to document the whole thing. We're going to videotape every day. We're going to make a whole thing. And he was so annoyed with me. Like, can't just something be something? Why does it have to be all documented? But you know what? And this
that's what I would say to my sister during the documentary.
Why do you need a shot of this? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, come on, this is terrible.
But I thought of you while I was doing it, because I did take a lot of pictures, and I did a few videos, and I did post them on Facebook, and I found people were liking them. And then I got home and people were saying, thank you for documenting what you did, because a lot of it was lighthearted and fun. And especially in 2020, it really, I guess it moved people. I don't want to sound like all full of myself, but it moved people with my relationship with my son. And I think people need that. And I think Pursuit of Happiness came out at just the right time in 2020, when we're all looking for a little happiness.
Oh, yeah. I feel like even so many of the themes, I want to hear more about this trip, and I want to hear more about your son, by the way. Okay. So many of the themes, I don't know if we would call it good luck, but so many of the themes really ended up hitting home because of the moment in time we're in, right? Yeah. Like the Denmark episode, which is very much about race and intersectionality. Immigrants could not be more of an American problem that we're dealing with right now.
Right.
The career episode about work-life balance. I think that's an existential moment for all Americans right now.
That one blew me away. That was with the kids in the preschool that were walking to the grocery store.
That's Japan, that was Japan. Parenting and marriage.
Parenting, yeah. That scared me. I'm like, are you watching that kid? And you were, obviously, and there's a film crew around you, but you're following this kid. What was he, like 5, 6 years old, crossing busy streets?
The whole point is that at the age of 6, they have this, tradition of following a kid. It's called first errand. And it's when the kid goes from extreme attachment to extreme detachment, and that starts with the first errand, where the 6-year-old kid is sent to the grocery store all by himself, and we just followed him, and he walked through the streets of the city just by himself, and nobody seemed to care, and he was extremely confident and had it together. You would have thought he'd done it 100 times, and walked to the grocery store, got his groceries, grabbed a little chocolate for himself, and checked out, and then went home. And it was mind blowing, because we would never let a kid just walk alone like that ever.
Yeah. How old's your girl?
My daughter, thanks for asking. She turns 4 in a month almost. And so wait, how many kids do you have?
I have 3. So I have my 24-year-old, I've got a 12 and a 9-year-old.
Can you tell me how old you are? You look younger. You look too young to have a 24-year-old.
All right. So how old would you say I am?
Okay. I would have guessed you're 44, 45?
Well, I'm 48. Yeah, 48.
doing good, bro. You're doing good. Um,
And the older I get, and people say, "Oh, you got a baby face," I'm like, "Good. Maybe there's still hope. Maybe I can still start a career in the movies and TV."
no, don't do that to yourself. You're better than that. Oh,
It can't be.
speaking of, your son? Is he fresh out of college and just got here? What's his deal?
No, he didn't go to college. He's just a
Mhm.
big fan of film. He wants to
Mhm.
be behind the camera.
Yeah.
And growing up in a small town, which he's
Mhm.
been in forever,
Yeah.
it was time to leave because nothing was happening in that small town. I keep telling him, you can make movies anywhere. You can do anything with your phone. You can just
Yeah.
film and see what happens.
Yeah.
But his idea, after saving up a lot of money, was to go out to LA and just find work. And if it doesn't happen for him at 24, it doesn't happen.
Great.
And then
What's he want to do?
he doesn't know. He was a production assistant on a small movie with like 5 or 6 people
Mhm.
in New York not too long ago. He loved that. So I think he just wants to start at the bottom and learn every aspect of filmmaking all the way
Good
up.
for him.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
a
does he?
lot of
Do you
hopes.
guys have? Do you guys have any connections and stuff out here? Do you want me to see if I can help?
I just have you now.
Okay. Well, you should email
He's
me
like,
after.
okay.
You should email me after this. I mean, fuck, I don't know what's being shot, but I'll help however I can for sure.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Yeah, of course.
And that was the intent of this interview.
Yeah,
So
I was
it
gonna say
worked.
this worked out.
So does he want to do any movies? Does he want to do TV? Is
Yeah,
he got the acting bug now?
yeah. In fact, if you go to my dad's Facebook profile, so it's Vasant Patel, Vasant. If you go to it under occupation, it says actor, producer, writer, celebrity guest speaker. It says all these things.
Okay.
They are in. They they. Meet the Patels made them like pseudo famous, and
Sure.
it's the cutest thing ever. Uh, I think they just feel really lucky that they have this like wild phase in life right now.
Yeah.
Sorry about this helicopter.
That's all right.
Um,
Well, I feel like their personalities, obviously, and they're not afraid of the camera,
they're
and
not.
they have distinct separate personalities as well. So they'd be great on a sitcom. I could see them definitely on like a sitcom.
Yeah, and they want to be in more. I put them in the show I just did at the end of last year in India that comes out in December, and they're in it for like a couple scenes, and they're amazing. Um, and I
Doing
put,
legit acting.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and they're really funny. They're great in it. Um, and I'm writing something right now that I'm going to put them in if I do. So it's so funny. The roles have reversed. I've kind of become like a soccer mom where I'm always trying to figure out what activities to put them in next. Uh, um,
Did you buy a caravan just to cart them
I
around?
know, just to take them
You
around,
did.
but it's kind of a cute thing. I mean, it's fun to be able to give your parents such a cool experience. And I don't know that these immigrants who came from these small villages in India would have ever thought that they could have these kinds of adventures in life. And so I think it's an awesome way to say thank you to mom and dad. And you know, I think and it's very much because of Meet the Patels, or even because of the first episode of Pursuit of Happiness, that I've done a lot of thinking on um, making the most of the time that we have together while they're around.
Yeah, I think we
And
could all relate to that episode, especially when you
right,
deciding whether you wanted to really spend a lot of time with them or let them branch out and maybe stay in Mexico with people their age. Those people
yep,
were wild, by the way. Was
yeah,
that? I mean, that was all real.
oh yeah, dude,
Just
They're-
drinking and partying all day.
dude,
It's like sending your kid off to college.
these old people are living. They're that's the life. I mean, by the way, that episode is a big reason why we're moving east. Is to be
Yeah.
closer to them. And I feel like our parents' generation got screwed because just just modern American life is so private.
Mm.
It's so private that even family members have so many boundaries between them. And we're also mobile. So our parents' generation didn't know that by the time they grew up, the status quo would be that their kids live on the other side of the country and only see them once or twice a year, which is
Right.
actually really insane if you think
Yeah.
about it. And it's kind of sad for me. Like for me, at least, I think it's sad because now that I'm a dad, the prospect of there being a version of my life where my daughter comes home to see me for a few weeks every year
Yeah.
is it's horrifying. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I've got two little ones, and I can't imagine that either, even though I just sent my 24-year-old across the country. It
Well,
was
you want
tough.
him to go off and do his thing,
I
obviously, too,
know.
you know?
But there's me blubbering at the end of the trip, and he's like, "Dad, don't do it. What are you doing? Don't. Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? We just had this fantastic voyage for 6 or 7 days.
What were
We
you crying?
bonded."
What did you
Oh,
say?
and I'm just
Why?
bawling my eyes out. The poor Uber driver on the way to the airport. There was like 15 minutes to the airport, and me, I'm in my mask, and I get, oh, it's my mask is all wet.
Oh, dude, that
Like,
is
I'm
so cute.
sorry I disturbed you, sir.
What were like what were the main bullet points of your speech?
My like throughout the week.
No, in this Uber speech at the airport, what were you saying to him?
Oh, well, no, I had dropped him off and then I was in the Uber all by
Oh, okay.
myself. But it was, it was do what you got to do now. You've got the rest of your life to figure out what you want to do. You're never too old, that kind of thing. Because he's
Mhm.
24, he didn't go to college. He feels like he's a little behind everybody.
Right.
And I said it's never too late to change careers. Come up with fresh ideas and
Yeah.
try new things. And we only live life once. So, and
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I mean, if I want to do something, I tend to grab a hold of it and give it my best because you never know. Your parents are a great example. I mean, they really took to Mexico and they were about to change their whole. I don't know what the outcome of that was, but they were about to change their lives, sacrifice seeing you
Yeah.
more, just to make themselves a little bit happier. To make them a little
The
happier.
outcome is they're building a retirement community in Charlotte. I'm not kidding.
They're building every retirement,
Yeah.
all the acting money they're making,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So wait, hold on. So I think that's actually awesome advice. And I think it's really true because truthfully, I would say there's probably a great advantage to your son feeling some sense of urgency at the age of 24, maybe because he didn't go to college, because in turn, that might actually make him more successful than someone who did go to college. And I say that as someone who knows that I went to college, and when you come out of college, a lot of people, not everyone, but I know a lot of people like myself, feel zero urgency
Sure,
to the point
absolutely.
where your 20s are spent just living it up. And you don't feel the sense of urgency till later when you wake up and you're like, oh, wait, I got to figure out where my life's going. And
Right.
so it might actually be, and I also think college, the institution of college is really, look, it's different for everyone. I didn't go there for education at all.
No,
My
I didn't
education was
either.
entirely social, and that could have
Yeah,
happened outside of college just as easily as inside college. All I did was drink and play basketball. Like that's all I did.
sure.
Um,
You're living in
what?
a dorm with other people and you're socializing and oh my God, you mean women live in this
Yeah,
dorm with me?
fun as hell. All that stuff is great,
Yeah,
but I by no means think. And my wife and I've talked about it because I'm like, I really strongly am against. Look, if our daughter is like one of these like nerds that's going to go to a liberal arts school, then sure, great. Okay, like that's a path. Okay,
yeah.
but if she's like me, which it is very unfortunately, it's looking like she is, like it will probably be really beneficial for her after high school to take a year or two off
Sure.
before she just so that she can get the the what do you call a reality check.
Yeah.
you know, see what's happening, what happens out there at this point of her life.
Yeah, right.
So that when she
And
goes, she can go into college with a goal. Like, what did your son do?
well, he did take a year off and then he started taking classes. So I shouldn't say he didn't go to college. He didn't
Mhm,
do the traditional college,
mhm,
but over the course of 3 or 4 years, he did take classes at
mhm,
community colleges here and there.
mhm,
So he worked towards that, and he finally got I think he got the associate degree, or maybe he got
mhm,
the bachelor. Maybe I should
mhm.
know more about my son. Jesus. Um, um, so he did that. He lived with 4 or 5 guys. So he learned about renting and living with people. I guess he was living life, but it was
Did
just
he
in such a
work?
small town. No, would you say? Oh yeah, he did work. I'm sorry, he did. He worked retail,
Good.
and he went to bartending school and
Great.
tried that. So he's tried a lot of things. He was able to save a lot of money. He's a smart kid, so put a lot of money away, and he's got 8 months
Great.
in LA. So
Right.
he doesn't have to have a job at least for 6 or 7 months. And if he wants to stay, that's when he's really got to put it in gear.
See, I really think there's nothing more motivating than having experienced the alternative.
Yeah, I think so too.
You
Yeah, he
know?
knows what he wants and what he doesn't want, and he's
Yeah.
already 24, and he doesn't want to go back to small town New England, which is nothing wrong with it, but
Yeah.
if
But
you
I
want to,
just I think it's so healthy that he's lived the alternative because so many kids never really live the alternative, especially in this town, which is such a hard life. And,
mm,
you know, I think one of the things that makes it hard is not knowing what to expect from it. It's kind of like any relationship where you have to know what to get from it because if
right,
you expect the wrong things, then you're never going to be happy.
right,
So, like, I'll use the acting as an example, which is not the same as other pursuits within the industry, but probably has some similarities. Acting is maybe like the worst, I would say, for like the worst woman you've ever met. Uh, but she's very like she really does it for you, if you know what I
easy on
mean.
the eyes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
And and that's a good thing. But what the worst thing you can do is tell yourself, I should marry this horrible
right,
person.
right. She'll look good on my arm, but for how long can I deal with this?
No,
Yeah,
because she actually treats you terribly. She she is completely unreliable. She cheats on you. She she spends all the money. She's a horrible roommate, all these things. You don't wanna conflate all these marriage partner things with the fact that what you really like is just being naked with her. Those are 2 different
right.
things. 2 different things.
Yeah,
And I would say that's what acting is. It's like, know because that if you just know it's just that one thing, which is
yeah,
play, then it's great.
right,
Uh,
right. If you're
you know?
happy with just that, yeah,
Yeah, but, like, I don't rely on acting for my self-worth. Like,
right.
and I know and that's why I'm able to have a somewhat healthy relationship with it, which
And I
required
think
me.
that's what we've learned about you from Meet the Patels and Pursuit of Happiness is the real Ravi, and that you don't need the acting. What you're doing, I mean, you need it obviously because that's
Mhm.
your bread and butter.
Yeah,
But you found happiness. You found ways to communicate with people and become closer with people, and that's a special thing. A lot of people don't have that. They have their career,
yeah.
and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I've found happiness. I would say that I found that it's something that's worth focusing on in life, and I'm happy to I don't know. I really enjoy thinking about it. I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy pursuing it, not just alone, but with my loved ones.
Yeah,
And
shared experiences are the best.
it's the best, man. I actually went to my first pandemic party this past weekend.
Yeah,
One of my closest friends had his 40th birthday party, and they rented this big outdoor ranch. So it was like an outdoor party. Everyone got rapid tested before they walked in. Uh, and we're all wasted, but then talking about our lives the whole time. And I
yeah,
feel like there's nothing, if you think about it, that's kind of the point of community. That's kind of the point of relationships. Like, if you really think about it, like, what is fun? Fun, you're laughing, you're smiling, but it's who you're doing it with that makes it fun. It's
yeah.
the
That's where the memories come in.
Yeah, and what is that? Well, that's a relationship, that's a memory, exactly.
Yeah.
Shared experiences. That's what it is. It's partners through life.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a small bubble too that we've spent time with. And you're right. It's about the laughing and the smiles, but it's about the memories that go along with those laughs and smiles that you
Yeah,
can
it's the
think
love.
back and say, this is
Yeah,
how I got through 2020 with these
yeah,
people and my loved ones.
yeah. I mean, well, isn't it the best thing in the world when you're with a group of people and you have stories to tell together? Nothing beats
Right?
it.
Inside
Nothing beats it.
jokes and all that.
The same
Um,
damn stories you've told 40 million times, and you love telling it the way you like listening to your favorite songs.
yeah. Do you feel 2020 brought you closer to your family?
Mhm.
I feel like I was so busy. I'm in a few bands and
Oh,
I
you're talented.
promote local music in the area and I'm on the radio and I do other things. I was almost out of the house 3 or 4 nights a week doing something. And then my wife got busy with school committee and cheerleading and things that she does. And then
Mhm.
the pandemic hit, and we had to spend more time together. And I feel like almost like, it was almost a blessing personally. I know it's a horrible thing that's happening, but personally, 2020 was almost a blessing to make me a little bit closer with my family, appreciate them a little bit more. And now I don't want to go back to being too busy. I love being here. I love doing homework with my kids. I love doing as much as I can with them.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. It doesn't feel weird saying that because you feel kind of guilty
I know.
because the world is in shambles, and
Yeah.
it's been just a hard year for everyone. And I'm not saying it hasn't been really hard on us as
Oh,
well.
we've had our ups and downs as well.
Yeah, but I do think it's important. Look, I think we as people and we as families and societies, in our deepest, darkest moments is where we often find our brightest light. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with stating those positives. I agree with you, man. I mean, look, coming into this thing, I was already looking for ways to chill. Like I was like, you know what? I'm like so obsessed with achieving and I'm so desperate to make a living, especially since I'm kind of early in the family days.
Mm,
But I'm also getting older and feeling like my life's passing me by. I need to find a way
yeah.
to like love my day. And my life for so long has just been like me waking up and getting on a train and then, not knowing what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I mean, talk about a great forced pause. And the first few weeks, I don't know if you like this, but the first few weeks of this thing, I would just wake up. It felt like a snow day in school.
It
Where it's
did.
like, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't care. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd wake up whenever. I'm like making pancakes for everyone. I'm drinking. I'm playing poker 3 times a week. And then it just kept on going. And I'm like, oh God, I gotta do something about this.
I had lost all this weight too, and then COVID hit, and I gained it all back. And
Yeah, I let go.
yeah, right.
I was like, the I let go of all of my basically all of my perceived like things I should do. I let go of, and I was so proud of myself for that. I mean, I remember having like this like epiphanous moment where I was sitting in my living room at like 10 at night, just in the dark, eating a bowl of ice cream, and I remember feeling proud of myself.
I
And
don't
I'm like,
care.
old Ruv could never have done this. Good for you, bro. Good for you.
I'd be in the middle of a grocery store with sweatpants on. I would just look at my wife and say, "I don't care," just out of the
Yeah,
blue. I
yeah.
don't care, and she knew exactly what I was talking about.
It was
The
the best though,
pajamas, right?
man.
Yeah,
But yeah, dude, it's brought me so much closer to my family, and
yeah.
I agree, man. It's like I think it's reprioritized for everyone. I think it's impossible not to. Um, it's also I think everyone has realized, okay, I got to figure out a way to have more space. Like anyone who lives in like a city where you're
Yeah,
living in like a smaller space. I mean, I know so many people in LA, New York, Chicago, they're leaving because
yeah.
they're
Oh
all
yeah, Boston too.
really,
Everyone's going to
yeah.
the suburbs. Yep. I
It's
mean,
in
I'm lucky. I have my man town, so I do have a little bit of space.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, we don't have that here. My wife and I are always like playing musical chairs, and it's comical but annoying.
All right, I know we've been talking for a while, and I should let you go. But you're going to be in Wonder Woman 1984. When's that coming out? It was supposed to be out by now, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be out a couple times already, and then at last I've heard it's coming out in December, but I don't feel like that's happening either.
Great.
How could
So
it? I mean,
so
are people
positive and
going?
uplifting. I just want my Ghostbusters. I want my
How's
Wonder
it gonna,
Woman. I want
are people going to go to? Are you going to a theater in December?
no,
Yes or
no,
no?
but I have
No,
this
I'm not.
conversation with people. I would happily pay $50 right now to sit up in my living room and watch Ghostbusters or Wonder Woman, any of those movies. I absolutely would, and I think they'd make more money if
Well,
they just did it at home.
I'd be down with them taking that route, but the answer to your question is I don't know.
Okay. Is it more intimidating to make a movie for DC, big budget DC movie, or to sit in a living room with 3 people in the room filming a scene with your dad?
Definitely the
What's more
first.
intimidating?
Definitely the first thing. The
Is
second
it really? Yeah.
the second thing is the stuff with my family could not be less intimidating. It's
So
so
that
fun.
just kind of comes out, all that stuff. That's
Oh yeah,
you're never
dude.
stressed out about what's dad gonna say now.
No, dude, my parents filming with my parents are my family's exactly the way they come off in that movie.
Yeah.
Like we, for better or for worse, and I get it from them. We are unfazed by cameras, and I don't know why, but I've never, since I was a little kid. I mean, I've got a million insecurities.
Yeah.
One of them is not. I think it's because I mainly don't care what people like. I care. I'm insecure of what people think, but I only care about what mainly the people we know think for the most
Sure.
part.
Yeah. 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 People that matter.
Yeah, and that's
And you know what I mean? Matter in your life.
yeah, like, and I think that's somewhat unique. Like most people's fear is getting on stage. I don't get. I have been nervous on stage.
Hmm.
I do get nervous on stage, but I would say I get less nervous on stage than most people I know by far. Generally speaking, it's like very easy for me. Like
Yeah.
I could get on stage in front of a few thousand people right now, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal for me, which is crazy.
I mean, I usually play music in front of 10 or 15 people, so it's
Mhm.
not that difficult for me to get on
But
stage.
still, I
Not
think
a
it's the
thousand,
same.
but no. I mean,
No,
I've had
but
big
it-
crowds, and I never get nervous about getting on stage anymore. Maybe it's the radio thing or whatever, but yeah, I'm the same way. So but I still want the appreciation from people. And if I find out somebody doesn't like me for some reason, I tend to stress a little bit over that. But I think you're right. It comes down to your circle and the people in your circle, the people you choose to spend the rest of your life with. Those are the people that matter. If they're mad at you, why? Let's fix this.
yeah,
Otherwise, screw off.
yeah. I mean, when you're able-minded, that's at least the way to think. Otherwise,
Sure.
when you're going through a crazy moment or whatever, then insecurity, it can creep in through any crack, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
It all
it
gets
all
through.
happens on Facebook for some reason. Why is this person talking crap about me? Why don't they like me? Who is this person?
Oh, Facebook, dude.
Right.
You really. I mean, dude, Twitter's really where all the hate is. You want to get on there? I mean,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, on a local level, the Facebook is just horrible.
oh, really?
We have town group pages, and it's just
Oh, yeah.
people in one town bitching about everything.
Oh, yeah, like the neighborhood pages and stuff.
The neighborhood, yeah, but we're
Oh, yeah.
small town,
So I'm not on those, but my wife is, and I see them, and people are nuts. People are just nuts on these things.
oh yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, how do you find the time? I know COVID, but how do you find the time just to complain over and over and over again?
Well, I think there's a lot of people on those pages where that's like part of their daily routine. It's like
Yeah, I feel like that's their job.
well, it's like the way that I unnecessarily read about the Bears probably 15 times a day. That same person, instead of doing that, is going on the neighborhood page on Facebook and just killing time. It's all avoiding whatever is happening in their own life.
Sure.
Essentially.
They'd rather yell about the dog that's crapping on everyone's lawns.
Yeah, it's their version of a cigarette. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Ravi, thank you so much.
Yeah,
This has
dude,
been
this is
great.
so fun, man. You're
We
good.
could go on and on and on.
Please email me about your son, and I'll see if I can help him find something.
Ah, that's so sweet of you. I do
Yeah,
appreciate
my
that.
pleasure.
And keep up the great work. And I hope to see
Thanks,
a
man.
part 2 coming up real soon or something from you. And I just, like I said, you make me smile. So, and I'm sure you do that for many.
Oh man, well, you make me smile, and you're such good vibes, and I really appreciate the love. Thanks for reaching out. Thanks for chatting with me, Ray. It's been
All
fun.
right. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro. Take care.
Take care.